together now. All together now. All together now. In no man's land together.
So you join me just as the kettle is starting to heat up towards the strike temperature of 71 degrees for my All Together IPA. I've been inspired by Dudes Brews, who has put a number of videos up there in the last month or so in relation to the All Together IPA. All Together IPA is a collaboration of a number of breweries worldwide, and they're all going to brew a version of this recipe. There's a East Coast New England IPA and a West Coast IPA version of the recipe, which, as I say, all the breweries are going to brew one or the other and sell it, and a percentage of the funds raised will be going towards, a percentage of the funds raised will go towards, there's a number of different actual name charities, but I know in the UK it'll be going towards people who have been working in the hospitality industry and have found themselves either furloughed or out of work as we all come to terms with this global pandemic and the lockdown that we find ourselves in. So as I say, there are a number of breweries in the UK and specifically one here in Belfast, Boundary Brewery, that are going to do this. So what my plan is to find out which version Boundary are doing, and if they're doing the West Coast version, then I will buy a case from them and compare it with what I'm brewing here, and we'll compare and contrast. It'll be a bit of fun that way as well. Whilst I'm making it and whilst I'm promoting All Together IPA, I'll also be buying some and I'll also be contributing financially towards the charity. So yeah, I've been having a number of difficulties recently in my brewing. I've been making a lot of silly mistakes. I've been just having a right time of it, to be honest with you. So this is a nice simple recipe. Hopefully get back to basics and hopefully iron out some of the mistakes that I have been making, which is another reason why I've been doing these videos, just so I can have a record of what I'm actually doing and what I'm doing wrong. So primarily these videos are just for my own benefit, to be honest with you. So if anybody else is getting any, why am I going so dark? If anybody else is getting any sort of benefit from them, then that's good news as well. But as I say, primarily they are for me. So we'll take a wee look here at the grain bill. I've done a wee bit of footage there last night, so we'll cut that in now. Okay, so the All Together IPA, which they reckon will come in at 6.3%. It's meant to be 6.2 according to the original recipe, so there's a few variants there. I've copied it. I'm using the Brewzilla Robo Brew 35 litres, and my batch volume is 19 litres. I've had to plug this in as a specialty IPA. As you can see, most things are fitting sort of in the mid-range there, with the exception being EPC, which is down at 7.1. The reason for that may be because the actual grains that I'm using aren't in the Brewfather library, the exact ones. Okay, so 4.3 kilograms of pale ale malt extra according to this. What I'm actually using is crisp extra pale malt, which is coming in at 2.5 to 3.5 EBC. 794 grams of oats flaked oats. I'm using again the crisp brand torrefied flaked oats, and 200 grams of carapils. And this one I'm using the Vireman carapils, which is coming in at 2.5 to 6.5. That's in at 3.9. So hopefully I'm at the higher end of that 2.5 to 6.5, which will maybe bring this up a bit. Colour wise, I'm not overly bothered, to be honest with you. The gravities there look pretty spot on to what the recipe is asking for. So we're moving on to hops then. 31 grams of Columbus at the boil, hop break. and then 40 grams of Mosaic, 28 grams of Cascade for a 20-minute hop stand, and then the dry hop, 82 grams Mosaic, 43 grams Cascade, 43 grams Citra, 43 grams of Simcoe. I've plugged in using USO 5. If you follow me on Facebook or you're on YouTube on Facebook, you'll remember. You probably won't remember, but I was looking for USO 5. I couldn't get it. My homebrew shop and my local homebrew shop were both out. I'm not likely to get it back in. So I had planned to use K97, the Colch yeast that I use from time to time. But when this arrived, I had two different ingredient packs together. I had this All Together IPA and another one that I'm going to brew next week or in a couple of weeks' time. And it was already booked in, so that already the stuff set aside for me in that one, and I forgot that I'd put USO 5 into that one. So now I'm going to use the USO 5 for this, the All Together IPA, because I want it to be as close to the commercial available one as possible. So yeah, whether or not I top crop some USO 5 to use in my other recipe, I'm not sure. That's a problem for tomorrow, well, for next week sometime. Yeah, so my estimated final gravity is going to be 1.013, and that should bring me in at 6.3%. 22.63 litres of mash, and all the rest of it there, and should boil off to give me 19 litres into the fermenter. So yeah, that's that. So it's just mashed in there. We'll be sitting at 68 degrees for 60 minutes, and I have, for the first time ever, actually had a bit of an issue with dough balls. I just thought it was one of those things that you warn your kids about. Make sure you stir up your mash or you'll get dough balls. So I actually did that, so it was quite sore in the old arms. I've only got a big spoon. I don't have an actual bona fide mash paddle or a whisk, so that's going to go on the investment list. Other than that, pretty uneventful as usual with the mash. Setting the pump on, going to recirculate now, and that's basically it until we start sparging and start bringing it up then for boiling, that sort of thing. So we have 31 grams of Columbus, and I very cleverly marked it at boil. Idiot's guide. So I've opened up the Columbus hops there. I'm not sure I've ever actually used Columbus before. Not like this anyway, not that I can think of. Just quite keen to get a wee sniff of them. It comes straight out of the fridge there, which isn't really conducive for fragrance, but the cold air and this fragrance is really just reminding me of like fresh oranges out of the fridge, you know, when you're cutting them open to juice them. So that's what I'm getting there, very strongly, like an orangey kind of flavour. So yeah, we're just about to hit hot break and we'll add them in. Okay, so we're just approaching the hot break boil point. It's absolutely teeming down outside, so we're doing it just at the back door here, not repeating the disaster that was the green tea and peach boil situation where it was gorillas in the mist. So yeah, just took a pre-boil gravity, which was, when you temperature adjusted, 1058. The recipe calls for 1053. Now I didn't have as much liquid at the end as I should have, so I topped it up with water, which will bring it down to roughly 1053. So we're close to where we should be in numbers wise. And as I say, we're just waiting on the hot break here. We're actually a wee bit further away from it than I thought we were at we're at 84 degrees. But with both elements on here, so it shouldn't take too much longer. It's just a hop addition then at the boil, and then a hop addition with 20 minutes left to go. So I will put the Portaflock in at that time as well, and the immersion chiller in at that point for a bit of sanitation, and then we will chill it down and get it into a fermenting bucket. Okay, so you can see there that we've just hit hot break. The thermometer is actually showing 100 for a couple of minutes before that, so in goes our hops. So we'll come back in 40 minutes time. Portaflock's already in, so we've got Mosaic and Cascade 40 and 28. Exciting stuff. I'm just going to put in the immersion chiller to sanitize it now, so there's a bit of a rejig required. Hello, today is Wednesday the 3rd of June 2020, and this is the last bit of footage for the grain to glass video for All Together IPA. I've talked quite a bit in this video already about what the All Together IPA project was all about, and you've seen my brewing process. I've messed it up a wee bit there by adding hops with 20 minutes left in the boil rather than for a 20-minute hop stand, but it hasn't actually affected the beer too badly. So disclosure, I've already had a couple of these. I also gave a couple of mates a blind tasting of the two of them together. I wish I had recorded that, particularly the first mate, who would be a wine taster by profession. So has a bit of a developed nose and developed palate, but isn't really up to date or isn't quite got to grips with craft beer yet. So it was interesting to hear him and how he described it. And then the second one was a mate who is more into craft beer, but is a big whiskey drinker, whiskey blogger, but has more of a grip on craft beer, has been following the craft beer scene for a number of years now. So we'll crack on. I've got two glasses here, my trusty Brewdog and a plain. So commercial always goes into the Brewdog, and my stuff always goes into the plain glass. So a little hiss on opening there on mine. And we'll just try and pour that without changing the camera. Okay, a little disappointed on the carbonation, very little in the way of head. So the All Together IPA that I've used is Boundary Brewery here in Northern Ireland. It's literally less than 5 miles from my house. Couldn't get much more local. So you hear that's more carbonated already. The hiss was much higher. There we go. So if I hold them both up, you can see mine's slightly cloudier, but they're very similar. I have to say, the one that I had opened before was more carbonated than that. I don't know, when you batch prime, sometimes it's a little bit, or when you bottle condition, it's a wee bit hit and miss sometimes. But here we go, we'll go into mine first of all. So I'm getting some tropical notes off there, some citrus, but it's very fresh smelling. Yeah. And you see then again the commercial one's holding its head. So it's not quite as sweet on the nose. Slightly like almost a damp smell. But again, you're getting the sort of tropical and citrus notes through. So we'll dive in. Okay, as expected, slightly too bitter for the strength of the beer. The commercial one is 5%, and I've gone all dark again. Hello. The commercial one is 5%, and mine is sitting at 5.6%. It's a little bit too bitter. It was reasonably well balanced. I've talked before when I've done commercial reviews about how you've got that bitterness that makes you want more. You know, it sort of takes you back of your throat, makes you want more. So I'm getting that. I'm getting some good citrus there. It's generally quite a nice beer. Now if I move on to the commercial one then. I have to drink both these. There's a more rounded flavour off that. It's not as bitter, which is obviously because they've made it properly and didn't fuck up their hops. Both them beers are fantastic. I have to say I'm really proud with mine. That's a bad bottle of that and it's still fantastic. The 3 or 4 bottles that have been opened already have all been quite lively. The commercial one, in terms of quality, you know, it's more rounded flavour. I'm not getting big hits of hops on the flavour. It's quite thin bodied, and but it's a very nice beer, and I will be drinking the rest of it. I know they'll not be making that for much longer or at all. Again, I don't think so anyway. There you go. I poured some more in. Let's give it a bit ahead. I'm biased. I prefer mine. I prefer that bitter taste. And if you're watching any of my other reviews, that's consistent. What I say all the time is I prefer that. It's almost like a double IPA kind of bitterness. I should also point out that Jacko's All Together IPA has been stored at 1 degree Celsius, and the All Together Brewhouse IPA has been stored just in my normal fridge, so it's 3 or 4 degrees, so it is slightly warmer, which is maybe why it's holding the carbonation a bit better. I'm really happy with mine. I really am. When you compare it to the commercial, the feedback that I got from my friends as well is really encouraging. I've had a couple of really bad brews recently where just haven't tasted it right at all. So to get back onto the right path was a big thing for me in this one, and I was really careful until I wasn't. I'll hold on to that recipe. I will make it again. I'll put it into a keg maybe later in the summer. It's quite a quick turnaround in terms of if it was in a keg, I could probably have drunk it after a couple of weeks. So next up, I've got some Sabro. I tried to brew a Russian beer. I don't know. There's a bit of footage for that. I don't know if I'll ever see the light of day. I tried to make a beer in less than 72 hours. It didn't quite work for various reasons, but it is something that I might be able to do again. So it was just going to be a smash, Maris Otter and Sabro, a little bit of wheat chucked in there. So it's on keg at the moment. So I might just do a quick tasting of that at some point in the near future. And then after that, I still haven't done the full Ulster, as I'm calling it, a clone of, or no, it's not even a clone. It's not going to be anywhere near the same. But based on the full Irish from, I think it's 8 degrees maybe. And then I'm going to do a fruit beer. I'm going to do a clone of the raspberry milkshake IPA that a couple of guys have brewed over the years. So I'm going to do my version of that. And then after that, I have a bit of a blank canvas. So one of my favourite beer styles is red ale, Irish red ale. So I haven't done one of them myself in quite some time. So maybe do that next month and then let it condition until winter. Yeah, so that's probably going to go down. Scores on the doors. I don't think this is on tap. There's certainly, there's not a barcode, so I'm not going to go looking for it anyway. It's a nice beer. I would like it a wee bit colder actually. I might put another one in with my own version of it just to chill it down a bit more. But it's a nice summer beer, nice and refreshing. Good mouthfeel, even though it is a bit thin-bodied for my liking. It would probably score about a solid 3.5 to 3.75 and Untapped. And then with my own version of it, slightly more to my taste. Which, given it's for me, that's a good thing, I suppose. I wouldn't score much. Again, I'm biased, it's mine. Wouldn't score much higher, but 3.5, 3.75, similar. Two fantastic beers and a really worthwhile project. Of course, when this started, it was all about the coronavirus and the lockdown from Corona. Obviously, things have happened since this was brought into effect, and America, well, I'm not really going to get political on this, but yeah, there's a lot happening over there, and I think that the message altogether is even more poignant now than it was whenever we started this back in April, May time. So there you go.
together